Hello, everybody. I just want to thank you guys for meeting me for this last week of Minority Health Awareness Week. And I thought that we've been talking about COVID. We've been talking about how to keep our positive mental attitude. We've been talking about mental health. And today I am blessed to be here with, okay, I'm going to be for real, guys. This is my cousin Kelly. She's like super cute. Okay. So Kelly, has agreed to talk to me about one of the bigger phenomenons in the African American community, and something that I just learned about is a lot of African Americans are going vegan. A lot of African Americans are embracing plant-based diets. My daughter's one of them, and I've been playing around with it, but I'm not quite there yet. Mm-hmm. I brought on my amazing cousin to kind of talk to us and give us some tips and help us understand veganism. So with that being said, let's tell us a little bit about you. Mm-hmm. And what inspired you to join the growing numbers of African Americans that are going vegan?
Yeah, so let me see. I think I've been vegan for about 4 years now. Um, I will say that I did not ever think I'd be vegan. I literally, I love cooking. I love, cooking for family, friends, etc. I've been cooking since I was little, so I've always thought of meat as kind of like a centerpiece of every meal. Like, say you have like chicken or lamb or fish or whatever, and then you have sides. And it wasn't until I actually was engaged to, who is currently my husband, who actually he had done veganism before. Funny enough, he basically grew up primarily vegetarian, even though his mom also cooked a lot of different meat, but he did grow up like pretty heavily vegetarian. And also he had tried like raw vegan and other diets like that. And he asked me like, hey, do you want to go vegan? And, I want to get back into it and things like that. And so that had been an opportunity for me to try it, because I had tried to go vegan before. It did not work out. And I was like super hungry all the time because I didn't know like what to make. All I thought you could do is like eat salads or something like that. And so I had tried and failed at vegan like a while ago. And so I just didn't think it was possible. And then, but doing it with somebody, I will say, is a lot more helpful. And doing it with somebody who can kind of walk you through like how to shop at the grocery store for like what are your staples that you need at home? What are like quick things that you can put together that are last minute, that are still vegan, that like don't like mess up your like diet and things like that. And also, I think there's also a lot more vegan foods available than there were like even like 5-10 years ago. Mm-hmm. So like even if you go into like a giant, like a general grocery store now, even like you don't even have to go to like a Whole Foods or a specialty store to find vegan items. And so I think it's become a lot easier, but it's definitely a lot easier if you've had somebody who's already gone through it and can help you through the transition, so you can learn how to put together meals essentially.
That's cool. That's really cool. So now my understanding, and I'm just, correct me if I'm wrong, because I've done some research, and I have, like I said, my daughter's a vegan. There are like varying types of vegan, kind of like there are varying types of vegetarians. Like you have the octo-vegetarians where they will eat eggs, and some that will still eat fish, but they won't eat anything that has a face. But one of the things that I've learned about veganism is that, and my daughter is kind of this type of vegan, is she will not only not eat animal products, but she will use animal things. No leather wallets, no leather shoes. So there are the different areas of veganism. So can you explain what that means, or what's your take on that type of philosophy, or a little bit of education about that?
Yeah, I think when it just depends on why you became a vegan. I think over time, when I think there's I feel like for most, I'll just speak as a Black person. For most Black people, I've noticed that you usually become vegan for health reasons. So you're like, hey, there are a lot of like specific health issues within the Black community around food. And this is a way for me to like lower my cholesterol, like lower my blood pressure, keep my arteries clean and things like. So I noticed that like a lot of Black people end up, or African Americans, people of color, end up doing it for health. But I will say, after being a vegan for many years, you start to realize how many animal products are in things. And then
Mhm.
you kind of start to feel bad as a vegan, because you're like, oh, like if I'm a vegan, I shouldn't be like eating honey or something. Like technically I shouldn't eat honey. And so I think over time, I think as a vegan, I started out for health reasons, but then as I learned more about animals and just like how, we could possibly treat them better as living with them on the same earth as us, I think you start to pull away from like, okay, is this leather? Like, is this vegan leather or something like that? And I have found myself over time being more conscious of even like animal products and soap and stuff like that. Like now I look up for soaps, like making sure like they're vegan, they're cruelty free, that like my shampoo is cruelty free, things like that. So I think it's just like an evolution over time that you start to have as a vegan, about just like being just generally nicer and more kind to other living things. I think that's
Yeah, that's cool. I wish I had bought the because I was asking my daughter about veganism, and she was like, I'm like, well, Brianna, what would I even make for you? I mean, how do I cook? So she was so cute. She made me a cookbook
Oh.
for Christmas, and on the front of it, she's a really good artist. And I wish I bought it, but if I'd done this, she would kill me because it's a book page. And on the front, it says, animals are friends, not food. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
and it was so cute. And I'm just kind of, I guess I'm just such a doting mom, but she's kind of cool. When she was growing up, she learned a lot about animals, and I think that kind of drove her. I tried to get her to do this interview, but kids don't want to do things with their parents. So it would have been cool if I could have got both of you. But
Yeah.
but I'm glad to know that about the philosophy. It gets me to think a little bit more about animals, because I am an animal lover. I love animals. And so I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
well, maybe you need to be thinking a little bit. And I've been trying this a lot, but like you said, you need somebody to kind of help and guide you. Just, I guess, trying to do it on your own.
Mm-hmm.
But to your point about in our community, I was thinking it was more for health. And if we can pull our numbers
Mm-hmm.
and get rid of the high blood pressure and the diabetes and things like that, we would be better off. And I think that's awesome. That's something we can do for ourselves. So speaking as
Mm-hmm.
a parent, one of the concerns parents like myself and maybe other health professionals have with veganism is
Mm-hmm.
proteins. We know that complete proteins are especially
Mm-hmm.
needed for all people. And then the other thing is like calcium for
Mm-hmm.
when we start to pull things out like milk and
Mm-hmm.
like that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
how are these young women going to get the calcium that they need for their bones? So what kind of
Mm-hmm.
sure that you're going to get those complete nutrients to meet the recommendations, like the RDAs?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of things do you do, or what kind
Mm-hmm.
of you're prepared to get complete proteins and calcium?
Yeah, I mean, I think for most vegans, a staple protein and calcium sources are always like beans, lentils, nuts. That's like a big staple in at least my diet. Seeds, chia seeds, sesame seeds, etc. Also, some grains as well can also be like a really good source. Plenty of leafy greens, vegetables, which you're supposed to eat anyways, are also a great source of that as well. So those are a lot of places that I know I get my protein as well as get calcium. But then if you want to consult your doctor, and you can also do supplements and things like that. So I know a lot of vegan people in general do take supplements and things like that. So that's at least where I get my sources from.
Now, let me ask you
Hmm.
about the supplements, because you said there are animal products and everything. Are there supplements on
Hmm.
the market that do contain those? And then how would one find
Hmm.
the vegan type supplements, and how do they differ?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you definitely have to look to make sure your supplements are vegan and plant-based. And that's something I do as well. So basically just looking at the ingredients. Usually
Supplements have gelatin in it, which, is basically like the
Horses hooves.
ground bones of, yeah. So that's also one thing you have to like look out for in a vegan supplement. So no, but there are a lot of vegan supplements out there. Who I can also give you guys some brands that I like a lot. I can't think of them off the top of my head, but there are a lot of brands that are dedicated to being like vegan, plant-based, animal-free products, but still getting you all those vitamins, minerals, and nutrients.
Yeah, that's good. So mom's not worried about getting like Kelly.
Yeah.
So one of the other things that people talk about, as I talk to people about veganism, and like I said, because
Mhm.
is one of the, and I hate to use a negative word like criticisms or maybe concerns.
Mhm. Yeah, it's
A
fine.
lot of the food is what they call prepared or you know
Processed.
processed foods. So talk to
Mhm.
us a little bit about because I'm not gonna lie, I like the Beyond Burger and
Mhm.
and I eat some of that stuff and it's pretty good. But talk to us about what some of those concerns are, maybe that you
Mhm.
experienced and maybe conversations,
Yeah.
if you're okay with what your doctor may be concerned with and how they are,
Mhm.
maybe you can do this or that.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of vegan junk food and it's processed just like regular food. Junk food is still junk food, even if it's vegan. And so you have to be careful about it. It definitely is something that you like when you first go vegan, you like want to eat everything. You're like, oh, it's a vegan cupcake, so you like go and get it because you're like, oh my god, I can't believe it's vegan, or oh, a vegan burger and stuff like that. But then, I think those things can be good for transitions, just so that you can kind of like get over the taste of, cheese and meat and things like that. But I will say over time, like I actually don't eat like, let me see, I think the only thing I have that's processed is maybe what I call pumfu. So that's pumpkin tofu. So it's soy
Uh-huh.
free.
Uh-huh.
So I even have, reduced soy in my diet. Like I try to have very little soy. I
Mhm.
try to have nothing that's packaged. Like everything is a vegetable that or a, a vegetable fruit or something that I prepared from
Mhm.
scratch. And but again, that takes time. And I think with the vegan journey, you just have to start somewhere and like don't be too hard on yourself. And over time you can kind of like start to adjust your diet to make sure that you're not causing more harm than you did before you were vegan. And I think that's something that you have to be careful of. You still have to watch for sugar, like don't have too much sugar. You can still have too much, fat in a vegan diet. You can have too much salt, sodium. So you have to have the same like common sense kind of principles that you had even before you were vegan, and you still have to apply them
Mhm.
to lead a healthy lifestyle. But the other problem with why processed foods, vegan foods have gone up because they're easy to prepare, right? You can put
Right.
like a vegan pizza in the oven and have it really quick. So it does, to be a healthier vegan, it does require a lot of prep, like meal prep and thought beforehand. So yeah.
Because that was one of my
Mhm.
questions. What about meal
Mhm.
prep? I mean, on
Yeah.
average, um, the world is like revolving
Mhm.
off the axis. We're going
Mhm.
fast. And on average, how much time does it take to maybe prepare 2 or 3 days,
Yeah.
of food, let alone a week,
Yeah. Yeah. It does take time. I cook a lot, so but it just, to me, I don't know. I've always liked controlling what goes into my body, so I just find it, there's a trade-off,
Okay.
obviously, and I think you're always going to have to decide, like, you might have to cut something out in order to make room for you to prep for you and your family. It's not easy, but I'm always about controlling what goes to my body, and the more I can control it, the better, I can feel in control of my health and my family's health and things like that, and save money on healthcare costs moving forward. So that's the way I kind of couch it. It's like, if I spend an extra hour here, am I spending less money, time, or energy being sick, right? Or having to worry about like really expensive hospital bills and stuff like that. So that's the way I kind of couch when somebody's like, oh, I don't have time for meal prep. It's like, well, I don't want to be in the hospital like, 10, 20 years down the line just because I didn't do some like an hour long meal prep. Like that's the way I kind of try to couch it to myself, like just put in the extra time and energy. And it's like, and your body feels better. You have more energy during the day. And to me, it's like taking the extra time for a higher quality of life is always most important to me. I want to have a long, healthy life. That's my focus.
That's cool.
Hmm.
I'm gonna say, how has transitioning from a traditional diet that included the
Hmm.
plant-based foods, how has that change in diet and lifestyle affected you?
Hmm.
Just kind of
Um,
think of different areas.
yeah, I mean, I will say I don't eat out as much, so because I'm like, um, I just want to. At first, I think when you first become vegan, you want to like eat out at different vegan restaurants, etc., like that. But then, you start to learn how to make that food yourself, and so you end up eating. I don't eat out like
Mhm.
at all. That's one thing that's really changed. It does change eating with family who are not vegan. So that's just something you have to get used to. And I think it's really hard, as a African American Black person, where it's like dinner time is like a huge spread. It's meat, it's mac and cheese, it's all the stuff like that that is not vegan. A bunch of not vegan vegan stuff. And so I think it can feel at first a little isolating, but that's why I always like saying do vegan with somebody, because then you can like be together and do it. I think now Black families are a little bit more flexible about like their family members having different diets for different reasons. You having somebody at the table who's gluten free or who's allergic to this or that. I think that's like a lot more culturally accepted now. But it is hard when you want to socialize, go out to eat with friends, family, etc. Sometimes people don't want to go to a vegan restaurant, and and it's like, you kind of have to either like eat beforehand or just like call ahead to the restaurant and see like, hey, do you guys have a vegan option? So that's one thing that if you're vegan, you always end up calling ahead to restaurants and
Mhm.
telling them about your diet and seeing if they have an option before you get there, so it's not awkward. In terms of health, I think it's definitely kind of improved. It definitely has improved my health. I'm like energy wise, a lot more energy. In terms of like, not gaining or losing weight. When you first go vegan, you do lose weight. What ends up making people gain weight on vegan is vegan junk food. So it's like that's like the problem with when some people are like, I'm not losing enough weight on vegan. It's like, well, what are you eating and stuff like that. But if you eat like a relatively healthy, I will say, you can't be perfect, relatively healthy vegan diet, you will most likely lose weight. It's not everybody, but I definitely did lose weight. Helps me maintain a healthy weight, and stuff like that. But definitely more energy. Food doesn't like sit on you. You don't have what they call like, food coma or,
Or the baby belly,
itis.
the food
Yeah.
baby,
Yeah, food babies, itis. Definitely do
the
not get
itis.
that. Whatever they call it. And I will say, I've also like monitored like my like glucose levels and stuff like that. And, I also keep a low sugar diet, but it's definitely helped with like my glucose and things like that. So over time, you will see a lot of benefits to vegan, but it takes time to figure out what's the right vegan balance for you too.
I know, right?
Hmm.
But here's a good thing, Kelly, you have
Hmm.
comrades in arms. Your cousin Brianna and
Yeah.
we embrace different diets. So I found a lot of like really good stuff. So
Hmm.
Brianna's a really good cook too. So
Yeah.
if you ever come home, you got a little tribe now.
Oh, thank you.
Got a little
Thank
tribe.
you.
We're open. We're open. So I want to ask you, you did already touch on some advice that you give to people who want
Hmm.
to make the shift. Um,
Hmm.
what you did say do it with someone because it makes it
Hmm.
easier. what
Mhm.
other things would you advise
Mhm.
to a person who says, I'm really thinking about it, I'm really serious, I'm going to make the leap.
Mhm.
So what other things what advice would you give to us?
I mean, what the great thing about vegan is you do have the nowadays is you do have the internet. So you can, a lot of, if you want to transition to the vegan lifestyle, they do have even things like grocery lists. Like they'll tell you, like, here are all the things if you want to go grocery shopping for vegan. This is what you should have in your pantry. This is what you should have in your refrigerator, etc. So that's a really good place to start. Is like, what do I even buy? I think is the hardest part. Like, I don't even know how to cook something vegan. And then also just realize there are a lot of things that you can cook that you can make vegan. Like people make collard greens all the time. Usually only thing that makes collard greens not vegan is usually just the ham in it, right? So it's like maybe do like a vegan bacon instead and put that in there and replace it. So there are like small things you can do to like current recipes that you love that are probably already vegetable based that you can just like take out one ingredient and figure out how to like replace it and add different seasoning in and things like that. But I would definitely start with like looking for vegan grocery lists and starting there, and then to find like a vegan website or blog or something where they will actually start telling you like meals. Like they'll even tell you like for breakfast you can have this, for lunch this is a good vegan lunch item, this is what you can have for dinner, etc. So those are usually pretty helpful ways for you to start visualize like what do I eat like every day, like what would I eat for breakfast if I'm vegan, like what happens if you don't have eggs, right? What can you use instead of eggs? And so those are, I would say, the internet is way more vast and it's such a good resource when it comes to going vegan because you can get a lot of recipes and meal plans, grocery lists that will really be helpful.
Well, I did learn that sometimes
Mhm.
if you don't have eggs, you can use silken tofu
Mhm.
and put a
Yeah,
little
you can
turmeric.
use, and now they have Just Eggs, which is
Yes, I
made
had
from
that.
chickpeas. Yeah, I love Just Eggs actually.
I do love Just Eggs. Those are pretty.
Yeah.
Um, this is excellent. Lot of information. Do you have any favorite resources that you would leave
Mm,
or like leave our
yeah.
with what are some favorite resources that perhaps you use and that we can
Um,
know about?
yeah, I mean, one resource I really liked, funny enough, and depends on what your diet is. I started out using like it's called fatfreevegan.com. That's where I started like using learning about like some oil-free recipes that are like plant-based. I really liked her recipes a lot on there. So that's one. Um, and what else is good? I also follow the Minimalist Baker. They do both. Um, they do both vegan and non-vegan items, but they started out vegan.
Mhm.
Um, let's see. I think it doesn't taste like chicken. That's another blog.
It doesn't taste like chicken.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that has, but it has a lot of comfort food vegan recipes, but they're really simple, really straightforward, things like that. So those are three big ones I really really like.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
If you come home, if the
Mhm.
world ever opens up,
Mhm.
there's two really good vegan restaurants, so we have to try it. The
Mhm.
Chicago Diner, but you probably already been there. Have you?
Yeah, I'm sorry there. Yeah.
Oh my God, my son and I are like in love with that one.
uh,
I forgot the other place my daughter took me, but if I remember it, I'll put it in the list of resources. But
uh-huh.
we in Chi-Town. Well, you're in New York, so you got
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
good resources as we do. So we should really just try to toast to like excellent vegan food because I really
Mhm.
do like it. I do, but
Mhm.
I'm going to ask you one more thing for a person like myself because I'm
Mhm.
a fitness professional and health is my thing, which is why I'm doing this. What
Mhm.
what on the run stuff would you recommend for me to have that's healthy? That's
Mhm.
I love apples. I love nuts. What's a third
Mhm.
one for me?
Oh, let me think about that. I mean, I love avocados. I eat so many avocados.
Or,
Yeah, that's a
get
big
out
one.
of
And
town.
they're pretty filling too. So I really like avocados. They're just like to me like a magic fruit vegetable.
They are. They're amazing. Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would
Well,
say avocados. Hmm.
Kelly, thanks so much for enlightening me a bit
Hmm.
more and helping me to learn more about veganism and help
Hmm.
people that are on my Facebook page to do this as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to upload it to YouTube, and then I drop
Hmm.
it to my Facebook page. So it'll be living in two places.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. It's been really fun. This is like a project that's near and dear to my heart. And I just felt,
Oh.
when I found out there was a Minority Health Awareness Month, I'm like, let's
Hmm.
get after it. Let's find some knowledgeable people and let's talk about getting healthy, getting
Yeah.
good.
Exactly. And you don't have to be perfect vegan on day one. It takes time. Everything takes time. Takes a while to get into the flow and the cadence of it. So I always say, like, with diets, exercise, everything, like, give yourself as much grace as possible. Just like stay consistent and like just keep building on what you built on before. So
That is awesome. I'm going to
mhm.
thank you for that because I'm going to kill